Okay, so I've been shooting bob long guns for 20 years. Back when I was big into Indian Creek designs, I had an OG Defiant, you know, um, shot wrappers, those V1 marks. Never had a Vice, but I had a, V1 Victory, Reptile, all kinds of bob long guns, right? And then I kind of stuck with the G6R. Um, So that's kind of the perspective that I'm approaching the review of the Fieldman Force. So I've got, 2.5 cases through it. I'm sure it's not enough to really get into the tweaks and idiosyncrasies of the marker itself, but more than a first impression, especially because I think I'm familiar with the platform. It's something that I always said, like, if they make a limited force, if they make a good force, I will buy one. And they did. They made the Dragon, so I bought one. And I just kind of want to give you my thoughts as someone who's been shooting a lot of bob long guns, and then someone who has been shooting a lot of modern guns. Where does the force fit in from that kind of legacy perspective, right? So packaging is super nice, of course. Sure, whatever. I will say I think this is one of the better cases in paintball right now, just because it fits everything. So I did buy a blackout kit. I'm not going to get into, there's a parts kit, there's some O-rings. I don't think it's necessary to kind of go that in depth about the packaging itself on the Force here. So I'm going to start by saying that I think the Force is fundamentally flawed. And I think there's two categories where if it were different, the Force would be different, right? So I think there's two big issues with the Force, and one is aesthetics and perception, and then the other one is price. And I think everything kind of falls into that category here for everything I don't like about the Force. So let me start by saying that, everyone likes to be like, oh, it's got an ancient engine, man. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. When did the Gamma Core come out? 2013? 2014? 10 years on the Gamma Core. How long is the IV Core out? They just put out the GO5. 7, 8 years? So people saying it's an ancient engine, I think that's a lazy argument, and it's kind of obfuscating the actual issues with the engine. And it's not just that it's old, you know what I mean? Because here's something else that's old, this trigger frame in ASA, but it is the best trigger frame in paintball. Truly, like, if, aesthetically, there's no better frame than, this bob long frame that's been on everything since, the Vice, right? Like, it's such, ergonomically, the grip angle is fantastic. This is flat, no visible screws, like, just truly a beautiful frame. I love this frame. And I think that is my overall issue with the Force, is that they're not leaning heavily enough into what makes this cool and fun. So to give you an example, right, like those Gen 1, Dodge Vipers, like those TVRs, they have no ABS, they have no traction control. And people will be like, I can't believe it doesn't have those features. I can't believe it has screws for eye covers. It doesn't matter. People who like those cars like them for that reason. You know what I mean? It's more fun. It's, man and machine versus the road, right? It's not a bunch of computers driving your car. Maybe that analogy holds up. I don't know. I'm not a car guy. But that's kind of where I am with this, right? Like, you lose some creature comforts. It doesn't have toolless eye covers. But, like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, all those dudes that still shoot GO3s, like, that's who this should be aimed at, because it has all that kind of legacy, old school paintball charm. The ergonomics are great. It's so thin on this dimension. My Geo is like this. Every Planet Eclipse gun is like this. It's so thin. It's so pointable. It's got the best ergonomics in paintball, and even the stock grip. I was prepared to be a hater. The ergonomics on that stock rectangular, fugly fucking foregrip. Fantastic. I get it. Kudos Field 1. It points great, it feels great, it holds great. It's a good front grip. It's just too ugly. And therein lies part one of the issue, which is the Force is fucking fugly. It's got the ugliest stock barrel system in paintball, unfortunately. The AccuLock, great performance. It's a tube. You know what I mean? Like, it's 2025, and the tip of your barrel is literally a tube. The cuts are, there's no like 3D milling along the windows. Like, it's a fugly barrel. The front grip is fugly. The V1 and V2 Forces, just ugly as fuck. And that's what I mean. Like, if the Force looked really good, people would want to shoot them because people like things that look good. Like, it's the reason people don't, you have to have a cult following to shoot a Vanquish. They shoot great, but they're so fucking ugly. It's got that perception that they suck, so nobody cares. And I think that's a big issue with the Force, right? Which is they haven't done a good enough job of playing into perception and aesthetics. Like, if it shipped like this, if it shipped with, this Urzaki front grip or whatever, that would go a long way. Everything else, little creature comforts, toolless eye covers, who cares? You know what I mean? I'm not opening up my eye covers all the time. If you need to open them up, just do it at your home when you're done playing. But I think what that means in terms of, presentation and perception, you have a gun that is leaning into this old school thinking, right? This old school presentation, which a lot of people love. Like, I love the Force. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? And I'm not a tough sell. Like, I'm a Bob Long guy. You know what I mean? So they had to do less work than maybe getting someone else to love a Force. But it's like, now that I've held one and shot one, it has no barrel rise. The ergonomics are fantastic. And you can replace the front grip and it looks better. Like, the Dragon Force looks good. I'd say, but the type of people that would want to shoot a Force, you have to go head to head with the CS3, all these other guns, and it's too expensive, unfortunately. I feel like they've been able to get around that by it going directly to supporting Dynasty, which I appreciate. You know what I mean? I'm happy to pay it because it's hard to make money in the sport of paintball. And, you have your own marker company, hard. You're going to mark it up like crazy so you can make money. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? I love it. You've got a boutique, little bespoke platform here, low units. You're out there doing your thing, and what's not to love? So I'm happy to support that. But I think a lot of people factor price in to their purchasing decisions outside of, do I want to spend extra to support the guys in Dynasty? And the answer seems to be no, because, the Force isn't the most popular gun in the world, right? Is it the best shooting gun in the world? No, but it's not the worst. I take that back. It is probably the worst shooting gun in the world. It's got a shot quality that really turns me off. It's very mechanical. It's very old school sounding, which, again, if they leaned into it, if this gun was $99.99, everyone would love it. I'd say, all the Geo guys, all like the autococker, like everyone who likes old markers would love this gun because it supports, keeps the money within the industry, high velocity of money. It is soft on paint. It looks good. It's got basically all the features you need, but as it stands, too expensive for how good it is. And I think that's the issue with the Force, right, is perception, which is the amount of money you're spending does not equal the amount of gun you're getting, unless you are a hobbyist or unless you are like a Dynasty fanboy. And I just don't think there's enough of those two people in the world to have this be as successful as they want it to be, right? Like, values keep falling. Like, it's a fun little platform, but if these were $850, $950 new, it would be everyone would have one in their bag. You know what I mean? Paint's bad, pull out your Force, have it in your bag. Be a fun little, thing, right? And I think for that top price slot, they should just remake the G6R, right? So, excuse me, I'm a little sick, but that's what I mean. Like, the Force is well-intentioned, but poorly executed. I think it's really a lot of fun to shoot because it shoots like the golden era of paintball. I like it a lot. I mean, it's a new marker with 4 CIs. What's not to love? But it's like there's too many quirks. It's too fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you have to take off all the grips, unplug the battery, get an external charger plug? Like, the charging situation is stupid as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, the front grip situation, stupid. Like, why have all of this here? Why is this like, make it smaller? You know, it's aesthetics. And unfortunately aesthetics count, right? You know, I like this gun. I like everything about it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to pull it out and have fun with it. I'm not even going to touch on the efficiency because who cares? You know, truly just fill your tank. Like, I run an infamous 90 and I got 1,400 shots out of it. You know, who cares, right? If you're running a 77, you're getting half a case. That's enough for a game. It's not the be-all, end-all. Nobody cares. I just think it's a hobbyist gun, but it's not being sold as a hobbyist gun. And I think the price is impacting people's perception. And it's not an original thought. That's what everybody says. It's like, this is, you know, $1,800. If this was less than $1,000, everyone would have one. You know what I mean? It'd be your perfect mid-level. You know what I mean? You could get out there, play, support Dynasty, have fun, and then when you get tired of you know, fucking around, you go out and you buy your $2,000 Planet gun. Like, that's your chain. You know what I mean? Like, that is its place in the market. But this is nobody's end stage gun. It's too wonky. It's too crazy. You know what I mean? And there's nothing about the shot quality that makes me want to stick it out and pay that money. Like, if this shot like an R5, I'd say hell yeah, baby. You know what I mean? But it's too brutal of a shot. It's too loud, mechanical, harsh sounding. It sounds like a machine, which again is fun if you're a hobbyist, but it's not being sold as a hobbyist gun. It's not being sold as a J4 torque. You know what I mean? Like, if it was small run, Team Dynasty makes 200 of these a year and they're really fun little experimental platforms and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not that. You know what I mean? It's not marketing itself to hobbyists and collectors. So it's not being treated with that degree of reverence. If it was, I think it would be better for the platform. But as it stands, this is the end game gun, the most winningest paintball gun hit. Like, it's not, unfortunately. Too expensive. Shots too bad. So, I mean, should you go out and buy a Field 1 Force? I think if you buy there's no reason to buy a new one. I mean, there's no reason to buy a used one because it doesn't shoot good enough to justify buying it used, where, you know, Dynasty gets no money, right? That's the beauty of this gun, is that you can support the paintball industry, which I think is important. You can have another player in the space. It's like, yeah, Planet Eclipse, Lux, Die, great. It's good to have a third-party option. You know what I mean? So I want to support that, and buying a used one does nothing. You're left with a gun that doesn't shoot that good. But if you have the disposable income, just buy a Dragon. It supports the guys, and, you know, it's fun. And if nothing else, it'll be a nice little semi-collector piece. Like, these won't ever be less than $1,000. You'll only lose half your money over time. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think if you're not a one marker type of guy, if you're the guy that goes to the field and brings, you know, 3-4 guns, yeah, buy a Force. Nice to have in the bag in case the paint's really bad. You know, and a lot of people like to shit on it that it's not actually good at paint handling. This breech size is microscopic. You know what I mean? And the way they do this air reduction on the back of the ram, like, it is slow. Like, it's like those old Automag videos where you can stick your tongue in there. Like, it just, I don't even have to brace it. You can barely fit your finger in there. Like, it's doing something for brittle paint, you know? I'm not going to discount that entirely. But, fun little bag gun, absolutely. Looks good on the wall, absolutely. Can keep up with playing, absolutely. Ergonomically, it's great. It's the best feeling, best pointing gun on the market, in my opinion. I think ergonomically, it's a real superstar. But I don't think ergonomics are a big enough variable to optimize for in 2025, especially when you can have something like the Geo R5 that has it all except ergonomics. I don't think the ergonomics on the Geo are good. If I could put the R5 bolt in this gun, it would be the perfect marker, to be honest. But I think buy one new, support paintball as an industry. You know, anodizing quality is fantastic. It's nice not to see bullshit bright dip. You know, nice, actually true anodized markers. It's nice. You know, it comes with a blackout kit. Like it's a nice little piece of gear. You know what I mean? Like if you're 16 and you're saving up for your first gun from mowing yards, like don't buy a Force. You know, no way. I'd say, but you know, if you're an enthusiast, it's worth buying one new. Just, you know, pay your dues, support the industry. You know, they're out there, and I think it's worth it. But yeah, I think on the whole, it is pretty middle of the road, to be honest with you. I don't think there's really anything exceptional about it, to be honest. Efficiency's not good. You know, shot quality is actually hostile. It's actually aggressively bad. The machining is, you know, fine. It's no longer made in America. Like it's made by MacDev now, which is fine. And there's like some, you know, little corners that don't line up. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same as it used to be, but you know, ergonomically it feels great. And from a paint handling perspective, it's good. Certainly no worse than anything else. But you know, that's my thought on the Force. I finally bought one, and yeah, would I buy it again? Yeah, probably. But you know, am I going to buy the Force 2? Probably not. Like, I think I'll probably just, you know, do something else. But yeah, all right, good job, Field One. I think you got it. I think you have the marker correct, but I just think your marketing, your you know, your pricing is wrong. I think your aesthetics are wrong. But maybe one day you can resolve that.